Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Cherries fans from around the world. Welcome back to the Global Cherries channel and the Global Cherries community, an AFCB fans channel. And tonight we've got another awesome special for you, obviously, regarding Andoni Iraola. Before we go on, I just want to reintroduce my co-hosts. As always, joining me from Berlin is Malcolm. Hey, Malcolm, welcome back.
Hi, Ollie. Yeah, great to be here. Looking forward to doing this one.
Oh, it's a big one. It's a big one. We've also got Daz, the show from Down Under, as always.
Hi, Ollie. Hi, Malcolm. Great to be here. Looking forward to this show. We've been planning it for a while, and it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, and an awesome special guest, which I'm super happy to announce, is another one from Down Under. This is Gold Coast Mike. Welcome, Mike.
Hey guys, how are you? Really happy to be here. Looking forward to tonight and looking forward to being with you guys and just enjoying some Cherries moments.
Nice. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're really happy to have you on board for this one, mate. And as Daz said, this has been in planning for a little while now. And obviously everything has recently been confirmed. So the timing seemed much more relevant now than a couple of weeks ago, should we say. But look, I think without further ado, we get into it, because this isn't just about a manager leaving. This is essentially the man who fundamentally changed the ceiling of what was possible for us as a Bournemouth club. Look, Az, I'm going to hand it straight over to you to do initial introductions to the man, the mystery, Andoni Iraola.
Yeah, I'd just like to pick up, obviously, on Andoni's previous career prior to Bournemouth. So I don't know whether many people know, but I've done some research, and he played a total of 550 games as a player. So in that reign, he scored 38 goals. So he wasn't shy of hitting the net. And he had 69 yellow cards. So, again, he wasn't afraid to put it around, get stuck in.
Really, 69? I didn't realise it was 69. I haven't read that stuff. Right? That's an incredible amount of yellow cards.
So, again, new things that a lot of people may not know, but it took me some heavy digging into the Google to find out these stats. So I hope everyone's going to enjoy them. Spain, he played nationally for his Spanish team between January 2008 and May the 12th. Played 7 games. From there, he'd also played for, as we know, Athletic Club, which he was basically part of the woodwork there. He played from July 02 all the way through to July 15, 13 years. And like I say, he pretty much became a part of the woodwork. He was a legend to the fans and to the club. Out of them 475 games, he scored 35 goals. So, again, fantastic player. He's renowned for getting up the flank, crossing and cutting in, a bit like many wing backs who like to get forward and pop a shot in on goal. Yeah. Following that, he went to New York City FC from July 15 through to January 17, only an 18-month period. But played 40 games. Unfortunately, he didn't score any goals there, but again, good little reign there for New York City FC. Yep. And then he went on to AK Larnaca, July 18 through to January 19. So with them, he won. This is his first game, as a manager, I hasten to say. So he went from playing his last games at New York City, and then he started management. And there we go, Iraola playing for New York City alongside Lampard. Very, very good.
Just to touch slightly, Daz, on those 7 caps at Spain, because there was something that I noticed is although it was only 7 caps, bear in mind his competition included Sergio Ramos, Puyol, Capdevila, and Arbeloa. So breaking into that squad alone, just for those few games at that time, with Spain's golden era of players, basically, I think he's done it incredibly well. Yeah. Please continue.
So, his first management role was with AEK Larnaca, where he had 13 wins, 8 draws, 8 losses. So he started off his career for between July 18 to January 19 with a 45% win rate. Now, for a first-time manager, that's a pretty good damn score there, I would say.
Yep.
He then went on to CD Mirandes, where July 19 through to July 20. Again, very short managerial careers in each team here. He had 18 wins, 17 draws, 14 losses, so a 37% win rate. Again, not too bad. And finally, he went on to Rayo Valencia between August 20 and January 23, where he had 56 wins, 30 draws, and lost 50. So a 41% win ratio. Again, not too bad, not too bad results at all.
No, and I think this was the most important one for him, right? Because this is where Bournemouth spotted him. This is where essentially a lot of promotion to La Liga. He was one of Spain's most exciting teams at the time. They reached the Copa del Rey semi-final. But I think that's where a lot of his playing style, the high press, the high intensity, the organised chaos, I think that's where we've gone, like Bill Foley, that's why he's like, right, we don't need to survive anymore. We need to push, and that's who we need, that guy. So I think this was a big appointment for him at Vallecano.
So, just a bit of background history. A lot of people, when he turned up at, obviously, he took over from Gary O'Neill there at the end of the 23 season into the 23-24. A lot of people, myself included, were like, who is this guy? So a bit of history there. If anyone didn't know, he comes with good pedigree. He came with good.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Mike, thoughts on previous experience?
Yeah, well, I first started following Bournemouth because my daughter lives in Bournemouth, and we used to travel there. And I mean, I couldn't believe that a small club like that. We were quite fortunate that I knew one of the guys from admin, and they took us through and they showed us around the stadium. And so my introduction was really good because I got to see it from the inside out to start with. My thoughts were that we were a very small club punching above our weight. I like that. Everyone likes to fight for the guy who's always looked upon as being the underdog. And on what I like about the whole system that they had was that they had the pressing game. And my background's in rugby league, so in my lifetime I played a couple of games of what we call soccer, which is football. But that's what we call it in Australia. But the reality was that for me, the whole event, when you go to the stadium at the Vitality Stadium, and we always are in the McDougall stand, and that's where a lot of the global cherries go. And so my view on this whole, what I'm hoping to get out of this program is to get across to all these other global cherry supporters that we're not just on the outside looking in. We can be part of what's happening as the weeks go by into next year and that sort of thing, or this year and then into the season. I'm very excited about where we've come from, and I know I'm a Croupy fan. I love Clivett. I love the whole. We're still on the up and up, and for me, every season I've seen us go from strength to strength to strength, and I can't see going back to those days. I've got to say I wasn't aware of the history, as I'm like a lot of people that are going to be listening to us and who don't necessarily know the history of the club. But once we know the history, the more we learn, the more we like, and the more we understand. And I think going forward, the sky's the limit for the Cherries. I'm really excited about where we're going. That's how I feel about it all.
Nice. No, really appreciate those words and input. And you're right, Mike, you're absolutely right. I'd like to think that anyone watching or joining in on these shows has exactly that feeling and experience of learning more, being more involved, being exposed to more information. Because as you said, not everyone's followed the club for as long as we have as a collective. And I mean, some of the information from these golden oldies over here is valuable, believe me. Malcolm, input here for previous experience.
Yeah, well, the first thing I'm going to do is hit up on a point Mike made about the Ted Mack Now, obviously, for global cherries, people who live so many miles away, if you get the opportunity and get a global cherries ticket to go to a game, I mean, that is just one hell of an atmosphere. I was, as you well know, Ollie, super happy to have experienced that, and can only recommend any global cherries fan, if you got the chance, to try and get yourself a ticket. From, it doesn't matter what the opposition is, to have the full match experience at the stadium is unbelievable. And it's something I obviously want to do again. Hopefully this coming season, maybe the odd away trip somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
We have to wait to the end of August to get that on board. But no, going back to Andoni, I mean, his career is very difficult to actually put into words. I mean, he was more or less a one-man club, wasn't he, with Athletic Club? For those that haven't seen it, we put out a 3-minute video that popped up on YouTube of Andoni playing as a player. A few little tricks and some nice goals scored as well. Well worth the watch. Yeah, and obviously with his time at Atletico, the trainers he had, especially Marcelo Bielsa, who had a really big influence on the style and the way he played. Obviously, that sunk into Andoni, and he took that all on board, and it was just like, okay, this is what I want. This suits me. How can I make it work? And obviously, after his playing days had finished, then you've got to start somewhere, and you can't be expected to start at the top of the ladder. And he's done the hard yards, even in coaching. So we'll come on to the other, where he is now later on. But it's been a nice progressive trajectory, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
Going from something quite small, where he's comfortable with. And I don't think he brings the pressure on himself. He knows what his limitations are, what he can do, what he can't do. But he has his say, and if it doesn't suit him, he won't do it, which I like about him. The obvious question comes up about his contracts and everything else. If he wants to do 2 years, then let him have 2 years. If he wants to extend it after maybe 18 months for another year, let him do it. There's no given right that the club, fans, or whoever, or even the media say, well, you should be doing this. He doesn't. He does his own thing, and I like that. But I think his biggest asset is the way he can develop players as a coach.
Which again, I think that's going to be playing hugely into his new appointed role, right? Which we'll come to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think next season is an incredibly exciting time for them and some of their players. But I don't want to get into that a bit too early yet, because I think it's a big segment at the end of this show for what's potentially going to be coming for him. So before we get on to that, we went from Rayo Vallecano and to what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, chaps, but I remember this happening in a certain type of way. The appointment of Andoni, that was pretty controversial, and I think it gets forgotten now, but Bournemouth fans were furious, if I remember rightly, because Gary O'Neill had saved us from relegation, essentially. He'd done everything in his power to... he picked up 39 points. We survived. He was building strong relationships in the dressing room, and then all of a sudden, O'Neill out, Iraola in, Bill Foley backing the hell out of him, saying that we needed more than survival. We wanted better football, European ambition, and the decision was hugely unpopular at the time, right?
It was confusing.
Yeah,
I remember. Sorry,
go ahead, Miles. Go ahead.
All I was going to say is that I remember the morning. it flashed up on my phone that Gary O'Neill was sacked. I thought, oh, hello. A quick contact with my brother to find out what's going on. He said, just watch this space. And I think it must have been within a couple of hours, Andoni was appointed. And my brother actually said, they know what they're doing. So I didn't, I wasn't annoyed. I was just a little bit confused because unexpected. But as soon as I got the message, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're the professionals, mate. Let them get on with their job.
And did that feeling portray itself to you guys over in Australia? I mean, was the news received the same over there? How was the feeling for you?
Oh, for us, it was just one of those things that were, okay, it's happening. A lot of the time we hear things after they've happened. And of course, one of the issues at the moment is that there's a lot of AI stuff coming out. There's a lot of information coming out on various of the Facebook pages, which is not necessarily reliable. So I tend to, particularly now, take a step back and have a look and see what's going to really happen. And at that time, it wasn't as bad as what it is now. It was, if something was said that it was happening, it was happening. And so from our point of view, didn't know who he was, didn't know much about him, took a back seat just to see what happened. But the way I looked at it was, and we can see it now, that our recruitment, whether it's recruiting a manager or recruiting players, they've made some pretty wise choices over the last 3 years, and we can't knock them for that. And of course, when Iraola came on the scene, no one knew. And when he first started, he lost his few first games, and of course, everyone said, "Oh, what's this guy doing?" From being a global supporter from afar, all we see is what's on social media. For a time, all I could do was listen to the football by BBC Solent, which was, I thought, great. I love listening to their calls, but watching it on what we get over here, Stand, we can watch the games. You get a whole new, and it was KO before that, it gives it a whole new dynamic looking at it. So you see it from a completely different perspective. And so, yeah, I mean, when he first came in, didn't know too much about him, followed it, just, it's evolving. Same with the players. We had Dango Atara and people like that who came into this and then left us, whatever. But the reality was, I felt that he was developing a lot of the players that were coming through, and he wasn't afraid to change someone's position if necessary, to put them in a different position to make them. So, from my point of view, looking at it from a distance, just follow the trend and have faith. Got to have faith in the people that know.
Trust the process.
Really love those words, Mike, to be honest. You said a lot of accurate stuff there, mate, that resonates entirely. Daz, please go ahead.
Just touch base, obviously pick up from where you left off with Gary O'Neill. He brought us to 15th. A lot of people forget that he kept us in the Premiership, and a lot of people, I think, don't give him the accolade that he deserves for that. He kept us in the Premiership. We finished 15th with 39 points. We had 37 goals for, but unfortunately we had 71 against. So we finished minus 34 goals, which I think was to Gary's detriment. That the decision had to be made that if the club are going on this journey, then we need to be having better goal difference than that. We can't be a sieve at the back, letting in goals. He won 11, he drew 6, but he lost 21. So I think the board of directors and Bill Foley came to the conclusion that if we're going to progress on this journey, then we just need to step it up a little bit. And hence why Andoni come in. He was appointed for the 23-24 season, coming in August. And as we all know, his first run of games there, You know, he was trying to bring in his style of football. He tried to bring in his backing staff, who unfortunately couldn't get the working visas required.
Correct,
so
yeah.
unfortunately, he was stuck with Tommy and the guys, Tommy Elphick and Cooper, and they formed a relationship. And he started his journey. His first game, West Ham away, August the 12th, and 1-1 draw. We started the season with this kit here. This is why I wore this one today. This is his 23 season kit. And I remember the goal that Dominic Solanke scored in that one. It was a great goal. He did a little turn and a shuffle on the edge of the box. He was marked out, didn't have nothing to do, and he did a little backheel nutmeg and put it in the back of the net. So that was, I think, Andoni's first introduction to Bournemouth's first goal.
Yeah, again, incredibly accurate. And when we start speaking about it, does it not just get you as excited as we start reliving it, right? And then we know that our conversation is now about to run down his 3 seasons, which just got better and better and better year on year on year. So look, I do want to first, as you said, mentioned by both of you guys, Daz and Mike, actually, a bit of a disaster start, right? The first 9 league games, no wins. Fans were panicking. People were asking, why was O'Neill sacked for this? And then all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, it just clicked, didn't it? And the pressing became coordinated. The players understood exactly what triggers they were looking for. All of their fitness improved, like marginally. You could notice that. And the football became immediately recognisable as being Iraola at Bournemouth. And that season, we ended 12th place with 48 points with our first club record in what we're about to start speaking about. During that season, Mal, I'll come to you on this one. Anything standing out for you specifically?
I think the first win against Burnley at home, really. We're obviously itching, to get one game over the line. And it was in that game where Burnley scored a second goal and it went to VAR, and it seemed like an eternity before the decision was made that it was offside.
Yes,
and it was just so much relief. I'm just sitting there and I think, oh, come on, please, give it to us, because it was so marginal. You couldn't see it. Obviously, VAR have the lines and everything else. But that was the standout moment for me. I said, right, we're off and running now. And strangely enough, I'm not sure if it was the next game where we City away and we got hammered 6-1. But the stupid thing about it, watching that game, there were so many good passages of play from Bournemouth. I know we conceded a lot of goals, but he kept his identity and his style of play, even up against, a top-notch City side back then. So I wasn't worried about the rest of the season at all moving forward. And it was just like, okay, mid-table if we're lucky. That was like the goal. Obviously, you want to get above that 40-point margin, don't you? That's always the number to go for. And as you rightly said, we finished on 48 with a minus 13 goal difference. 67 conceded that season. So, it was small progress, small steps, going in the right direction. Couldn't ask for any more, really. And just see, where the journey takes us.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And Mike and Daz, I ask you the same question. First season for Iraola, obviously not the best start at all, but it came out. There was a light at the end of the tunnel towards the end. Any standout moments in that season for you guys?
After you, Daz.
Again, I think, like Mark said, the first 6 losses and 3 draws, we just chomping at the bit. When's this going to materialise? There were a lot of naysayers out there calling for Andoni's head on the block already, which, oh man, give the guy a chance, give this guy a chance. He's only just stepped a foot in the door. And yeah, it clicked. It just clicked. That Burnley game, like Mark said, that 2-1 first win. It was just the start of the cogs turning. And you could see the players all knitting together, playing, and what Andoni brought to what we can only describe and is commonly known as chaotic football.
Yes.
Was just so exciting. There's so many managers in the past, your Eddie Howes and even back to your Redknaps, who brought some exciting football to the game. And it just reinvigorated and made football a joy to watch again. We'd gone through the Parker and the Neil stages, and it just invigorated football. It was exciting to watch, not only as a Bournemouth fan, but I think as a neutral as well. Everyone was sort of like, hold on a minute, who are this Bournemouth? Look at this game they're starting to play. So, yeah, it was a really good first season for me. And like Matt said, the goal difference turned around. We'd gone from basically minus 34 with Gary O'Neill. We'd gone to only minus 13, which was really good. We had 54 goals for, 67 against. And Andoni's first season, won 13, lost 9, lost 16. So
yeah, starting to even out though the concedes and the goals for, right? And as you start to do that, you start to tweak the leagues, and yeah, completely makes sense. Mike?
Yeah, well, for me, it was just that when we started to win, suddenly people started to take notice of the Cherries.
Yeah.
And, I had my Cherries shirt, and I'd, wear it on the Gold Coast here, where you don't even get a look in as far as football goes most of the time if you're not a rugby league supporter. So you'd go into suddenly you go to the shopping centre and you'd be standing in a queue waiting. Someone would say, "Oh, you're Cherries fan, Bournemouth." Oh, and so they started to notice. And I remember one day there was a guy from, I forget, it might have been Chelsea or something, and he said, "Oh," I said, "Who you go for?" And he said, "Chelsea." And I said, "Didn't we beat you guys the other day?" or something like that. And so for me, it was the excitement of suddenly the teams winning.
Yeah.
And I didn't see my first game live. And there's probably a lot of guys out there in the same boat as me from overseas who don't get a chance to go. I joined the Global Cherries as a Global Cherries member. And then when you go into the allotment for the votes, we seem to, I've never had a problem getting a ticket, which is great, in the McDougall stand. But I didn't get to see my first game until I think it was 4th of January 2025, when the next season when we played Everton. And I was at a big table with a group of Everton fans. And by that stage, these guys were saying, "Oh, you guys have beat us. Everyone's beaten us.
Yeah.
You guys have beat us." But going back to that first season, for me, that was probably the first season I started taking him a bit seriously, because my daughter was living over there, and I thought, everyone likes a winner. You start winning, you get more fans. People start to say all the right things, and I think that started the want to know more, to be more involved, and we haven't stopped since. We've just been going from strength to strength. I've been to about 6 or 7 matches. Every time I go over there now, we're looking for ways and means to get. I mean, the first game I saw was against Spurs when we beat Spurs.
Nice.
And that was great. And then, of course, we saw Everton, and we beat Everton as well. So I've been fortunate. I haven't been to a game yet where we've lost. So I maintain on their lucky charm. But
nice. Yeah.
No, but I am that first year for me. The first year that Andoni came in was the year that they won me over, and I just haven't stopped since.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. I think there's a couple of things there that you said as well, Mike, that lead me perfectly into his second season and tenure with us. And this is where Bournemouth really became dangerous, right? I think you've made it clear our style has been fully established. We're now becoming the team that no one enjoyed playing. No one enjoyed playing Bournemouth in that second season. And I think this style that we've established, the high press, the vertical football, the aggressive counter press, a fearless approach, the fitness that's increased, and of course, our standout player of that season, Dominic Solanke, with his career best football. Ending the result in 9th place with 56 points and another club record and another step forward. Let's look into this season now. Second season in this channel. Malcolm, starts off.
Yeah, the first stat that sticks out in my head is the plus 12 goal difference at the end of the season. All right, so wow. It's hard to try and think back to, because there's just so many good things that have happened. Obviously, through that first season, new players came in, other players left. Andoni still had a job to do to get the players developed to the way he wants them to play. And the intensity, I think that season stood out more than anything. The intensity and the fitness levels of those players are just so remarkable. How many games do you want to talk through? There's just so many highlights, but with the intensity, with the physicality of the performances, injuries came to the fore.
Yeah.
And it became, in the later part of the season, it became quite difficult one. Not even later part of the season, was it? It was like around Christmas time, I suppose, where they were just like dropping like flies. There were more spaces on the bench for the academy players than first team players. And I think that was like something Andoni would have to think about. The way he plays, the way he performs, everything else. And that came into being in his third season, but we'll knock on that when we get there. But wow, what a standout season that was. Shall we just mention Newcastle away?
Please go ahead.
Need I say any more? And not only was the pressing perfect in that game, it was a delight to watch. I know we got pulled back to 1-1, but we didn't change our identity in the way we played on the pitch. Some absolutely brilliant football, solid defending, because Newcastle were on an 11-game unbeaten run, I believe, at that time.
Yeah, that's right.
And they had a really good, strong midfield. And you look at the players they had on the pitch, and you're thinking, if they turn up today, we're going to be in for a tough game. But we just stuck to our plan. And the standout moment for me, I know Clive will take all the plaudits for a brilliant hat-trick, but the standout moment for me was the fourth goal. What were we, not 95, 96 minutes? And we had the ball in the right-hand side of our area, and it was played out. And the players more or less, oh, come on, hurry up and blow the bloody whistle. And suddenly, Milos Kerkez, he's on the edge of his penalty area, and he makes a sprint into space. He gets the ball, and he just goes. 96 minutes of high-intensity football, and he finished that off. I was so thrilled for him, for the effort that he put in. You ask any Premier League player, could they do that after 96 minutes? And most of them will say, on your bike, I'm just waiting for the whistle to go.
Yeah.
But absolutely. And that summed up the mentality of the players that want to play for Andoni. Simple, really.
Yeah, brilliant sum up, Mal. There's definitely two games specifically that stick out for me, but I'll let the other guys go first because I'm sure they're going to come up. So, Daz, go ahead.
Standout game for me that season. They were in form. They were up there. I think they were 5th in the table or something. Basically, Notts Forest.
Ah, yes. And what
We
we were
didn't-
terrified. We were so terrified for them to come to our
Exactly.
ground, and it was a demolishing game. I'm so glad you're bringing it up.
So dominant. The press, the dispossession, the attack, and to get a 5-0 result was just, everyone's like, oh, are we going to get a draw? Can we snick it 2-1 maybe? But it was a total game of absolute dominance when, for me, Andoni chaotic football came together 100%.
Yeah.
It was an absolute pleasure to watch. It was like watching the best team in the world play football.
Yeah.
It was
and you knew it was special because, as you said, they were 5th. They were on a good run of games. And the following week, they went to beat Brighton 7-0 the following week. If I remember rightly. So we know that was a huge pattern interrupt. And Bournemouth, goodness. What a game. What a game. And I think the only one that compares to that in my mind is away at United in December. In the torrential rain in that away end. There was a game that I went to, and don't think I'll ever forget that moment. But yeah, it's similar to that Forest game. Just outstanding. And as you said, it's those games that just turn the tide a little bit, right? And they add that amount of pressure. They pivot you into thinking, oh my God, like what a team we are, what a club we are now. And the pride that comes from winning those games is outstanding. It's out of this world.
And one other game from that season, you got to remember it. Luton, 3-0 down.
Oh.
3-0 down at half time. Barkley had scored the 3rd goal. We went into the dressing room and we're thinking, geez, what can we salvage from this game? Can we get a 3-1, a 3-2? Are Luton going to score another 2 or 3? And the rest is history. We came back in that game. I think the first goal, Dom Solanke on the edge of the box, nutmeg through the rear two defenders and just slotted it. Hold on a minute, we scored 3-1. Then Zabani scored from a header on the goal line. It was a goalmouth scramble. The ball come in. Everyone's jumping like top hats. Bang, Zabani put it in. 3-2. Come on, boys, let's keep going. And then Semenyo scored the equaliser, 3-3. And I think the last one I got here is Unau. Unau put in Semenyo, who rifled it into the far corner. It is unleashed a shot of absolutely catastrophic power.
Yeah.
And brought us 4-3 for the win. Wow. And them 2 games for me in that season was just like, we are no longer little old Tin Pot Bournemouth. Have a look at us. We are proud.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, for me, it had to be the 2 games that I saw. My very first match against Spurs, because my mate is a Spurs supporter, and I hadn't experienced the Vitality Stadium atmosphere or any atmosphere of any of the stadiums over in the UK for that matter. And just to be there, now we were in the opposite end to the McDougall stand for that one, and it's at the south end. Is it south end or north end? But anyway, we were in that one, in that area, and just everyone's going off, and and to hear the Spurs supporters singing, we're got a shit team, we're got a shit, and I hadn't heard anything like that before. So I went away from that game thinking to myself, okay, so we have just beaten Spurs. I gave hell to my mate because, he'd been always talking about Spurs and who are Bournemouth? Well, we beat you guys, so I had bragging rights, didn't I? And of course, then I think it was the following week or 2 weeks later, we went into the hospitality area and we experienced that whole hospitality thing, and we were against Everton and we beat them. For me, the standout was when we had a corner, and the corner went straight in from I think Dean Howson, I think it was, headed the ball in as it came in. It was a set play, and I hadn't seen anything like that. And for me, the set play was just amazing. And the fact that it came off, and of course, his just his reaction after he got that goal. Yeah, that's it. Looked at it, and thought, look at me. But that was him. I saw, for me, it was more a progression of the improvement of the team during the year, and in particular, the improvement of our defence. And you had Zavani, and you had Houston, Milos, Kirkes, all those guys at the back, and of course, standouts. Clivett was amazing. I saw a goal that he got where it came out of nowhere, and it was just amazing. I don't know whether it was against Spurs. It might have been another one we saw later on in that season. But the reality was, for me, those two games I'll never forget them, because that was my first experience.
Yeah.
And as I say, if there's anyone out there that will be watching this, that's a global Cherry supporter, if you go there, you get a chance, go and see these matches, because you'll never be the same. It takes your experience to a whole new level. It's amazing. And you go away and you think, I've got to have more of this. And, particularly when they're winning.
Yeah.
And they haven't lost for me yet, so I'm quite happy. And I think I'm fortunate, because I've come along, unlike a lot of the people that have been around for years where they've had to experience the lows. I've actually been fortunate to be able to experience the highs as we've been going along this progression for these last 3 years. So I'm really fortunate, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And again, another great rundown, Mike. And it doesn't surprise me that the two games that stand out the most are the two that you felt the most from, right? Being in the moment.
Yeah.
That's right.
Makes complete sense. I think the time that we've all been waiting for, gentlemen, it leads us into our third season. Not just our third season, the masterpiece, in my opinion. The bit that we were leading up to this entire time that no one could have really seen coming, right? Summer problems. We lose Dean. We lose Zabanier, we lose Kirkes, we lose Ouattara, and then we sold Semenyo in January. I think every single person and their dogs expected us to regress, pretty much. But what happened instead?
As well.
And the keeper, yeah. But something else happened instead, and that's when, in my opinion, the new kids on the block took over. Krupi, Ryan, Alex Scott, Chauffeur. Bournemouth got younger and somehow a ton better. Now, before we get into our unbeaten run in the second half of the season, I just want to touch on some things at the start of the season first. So again, same format. Mal, give me some excitement here at the start of this season that we've just had.
Well, the excitement started before the season started, didn't it? For me.
It did. You were very excited about a specific young person, should we say? Here's a picture from before.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, he's had an unbelievable season. Just so looking forward to seeing him play. And obviously, you don't know how many minutes is he going to have. Is he going to be a regular starter or not? It just depends. Now, bearing in mind, if you follow the players that are, we knew he was a Bournemouth player because he's been sent back on loan to Lorient. So just to do a little bit of research, whenever they were playing, I would look them up on game day and see, how's he got on, what his ratings were, and I've seen the goals coming up and clicking. I think he scored again. And also, very aware, he became their regular penalty taker, which I thought, wow, that's not a bad thing to have on your CV, is it? So, and I was so super excited before the season started. I couldn't wait. And it didn't take me long to feel justified in my excitement. So much so that I did say he would become our top goal scorer. But obviously that was before we even knew that so many would be leaving. But I mean, he integrated, the same with Trofeo, the same with Ryan. I know Ryan come a little bit later. And just thinking, wow, look at these young guys. Absolutely superb. Well bought in to Andoni's philosophy, the way he wants to play. I think the biggest concern maybe would have been left back, because Kirk is, the previous season, absolutely unbelievable left back. He put in so many hard yards, and you're thinking, can we replace him? Was there any doubt when Trofeo came in?
I mean, not for me, to be honest, at the time. But,
I
think there was. I think on the grand scale of things, there was for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, because it's the not knowing. We don't know, do we?
Yeah, exactly.
But after the first couple of games, you're thinking, wow, look at this.
Yes.
We'll have some of that.
Yeah.
And I think really, we conceded a fair few goals in the first half of the season. Things didn't quite work the way we wanted them to, because we had Diakite start at Liverpool, didn't we, the first game of the season?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Although, after 10 minutes, he settled down and he had a pretty decent game. And he had a run of games, and then form drop, whatever, whether it's confidence, I don't know. But Andoni did the right thing, and he took him out, put his arm around him. He's still part of the squad. And obviously he has to train and do all the right stuff.
Yep.
But the moment was then bringing James Hill in at right centre back alongside Senesi. Wow, what a move! What a move!
Yeah,
all I was going to say is just, and all the other players stepping up, to the levels that we've got used to be honest with you.
Yeah, all of them stepping up.
Yeah.
Every single one of them had some unbelievable performances and progression. From Brooks to Christie, bringing on Gannon Dokes. Like as you said, Diakite was fantastic in his first few games, especially considering he'd flown in 4 days before the Premier League started, and his first game was at Anfield.
Not that. Crazy.
And Milos, we had Milos in. Unfortunately, he's been out on injury. But what we were starting to build was just, you could see it, right? You could see it coming together in front of your eyes. Daz, go ahead. First half of the season.
Yeah, fantastic. You could see, obviously, we were a new team. We were vibrant. Everything was clicking. It was really good. Stats for the season: 58-4, 58 against. -4. So we had 62-4 and 54 against.
Mm-hmm.
Only -4. That's
+4.
one of our, +4. Sorry, that was one of our best. So 113, drew 18, and lost 7. We know where we ended up. It was just fantastic. But the first half of the season for me, I seemed to stick in my head. It was Christmas. Everyone's off work. You're relaxing. You're having a bit of Christmas turkey and the pickles and a few beers, too many. And Boxing Day. Boxing Day. Yeah, we're playing 16th of December. Sorry, just for Christmas. We Man United, and we drew 4-4.
What a game!
What a game! What a game!
Mental.
I mean, Man United, they'd been down as far as 16th, and then Carrot got hold of the reins and he brought them up, and they were a force to be reckoned with. They're always a Big Six club. And what a game, 4-4. It was absolutely an absolute Christmas spectacular. I remember that game very, very well. It was really good.
Nice.
Pleasure.
Yeah, amazing. And we will come on to your standout games in the second half, but I want to do a special introduction to the second half of this season specifically. Mike, first half of this season?
Well, of course, we started off with a bang, didn't we? I think we got up to about second on the table or something, and third or second on the table, and all my mates were saying to me, "What's going on with you guys? What are you on?" they're going to swab you if you keep winning like this. And then all of a sudden we got some injuries. We started to level out, and we seemed to lose our form. So for the first half, it was start off with a bang. Thank God we did, because it gave us an opportunity to be able to maintain our position up on the top part of the table. Then we got down, and then of course it was from January, 4th of January onwards, we never looked back. We built. I think that for me, what happened was the sides, they analysed everything so well, all these clubs, that they analysed our play, and they started to work out ways that they could stop us, stop the pressing play, whether it was slow the game down, like you know, I forget what game it was now. They slowed the game down so badly and got away with it. But, you know, we played that game later too in a couple of matches as well. Yep. But I think we got off to a flying start. They worked us out for a while, and then after Christmas, in the new year, after that 4th of January game, we built to the point where, as I'm going to say later on, those last few games, particularly that one against Manchester City, we were so far ahead of those guys. It wasn't funny. We just had the ability. Our guys must have drilled so well that for a guy like me that's just looking at it, the difference between us in those last few games and us even the season before was amazing. You thought you were watching a completely different team. And they knew exactly where each other was going. As the season got by, they were so well drilled that they just, you know, time and time again, you'd get the backs would boot the ball up the field, and you had the curve on it, and right into the winger, pick up the ball and take it down, and then cross it over, and you'd have, you know, someone coming down the centre. I mean, I'll talk about the games later, but my favourite games of this whole season. But that was the first half for me. Was we got off with a bang, then they caught up with us because they seemed to work us out. And then after the new year, Andoni brought in his, or it's not just Andoni, I think it's his, the whole team, the management team, his the guys coaching the, you know, different areas of the team, and I think also Petrovic improved out of sight.
Yes.
In that second half. The first half he had a bit of a lull, but then I think it might have had something to do with people that came on into the team later that helped him find his focus. But yeah, it was very exciting times for anyone who followed Bournemouth from after Christmas onwards.
Yeah.
I just got to add, and I'll just pick up from where you were there, Mike, with the banging first start of the season. So proud to say, as a Bournemouth Cherry fan, that for 20 minutes we were top of the league in the best league in the world.
Yeah, and that was at the Crystal Palace game, wasn't it? That was at the Crystal Palace game. Yeah. And I think, Mike, the Crystal Palace game is the one you might have been referring to, where they were holding up play and being really difficult.
Yes.
That was a game I really struggled to watch, actually, and Crystal Palace rang true as soon as you started describing it. But yeah, Daz, good call out. We were top of the Premier League for the first time in 127 years for 21 and a half minutes. and my God, it was at that an unbelievable time. There was pictures going out everywhere. I was shouting it off the rooftops to everyone.
Yeah. I think I might have had a bit to say on one of the Facebook pages on that as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Why not?
I was going to say, incredibly accurate sum up as well. I think that the first half of the season, you're absolutely right. We started off with a bang, and those points that we accumulated really helped us maintain a solid position when we started to lose our not chaotic football style, but when it started to be figured out a little bit. And you're right, people did start to figure it out. They started to pattern interrupt, slow the game down, and it caused a bit of a problem until that magical day in January 2026, which was the 3rd of January against Arsenal. For me, this is where it all changed. I know that the win against Tottenham on the 7th of January was technically where our unbeaten run started, but 3-2 at Arsenal. And it was it was just a fantastic game of two monsters in football, in my opinion. And a similar game came up again towards the end of the season against Man City. Two entire giants, it looked like, battling it out on the main stage. And how on earth that other giant is Bournemouth in both those games is still beside me. But second half of the season, 18 league matches unbeaten after the Spurs win in January, one of the best runs in Europe, leaving us in 6th place with 57 points and Europa League qualification. 3 seasons, 3 improvements, every single year better than the last one. I mean, how much more can you talk about a successful tenure or a successful managerial period, right? Throw some games out at me here, chaps, because there is quite a few that are exciting.
Oh my God. Shall I?
Go for it, yeah. Let's round robin, do one each. We'll get through a few.
Well, I could name 3. 2 home games, 1 away. Obviously Liverpool.
Oh,
You know, they are just like mental. Absolutely mental. Yeah, 3-2.
What a game.
Couldn't see. I mean, I was happy with a point. I was sat on my couch thinking, well, you know, we can still go for it, but, you know, happy with a point. Disappointed because we were 2 up. But
Yeah.
we clawed back into the game and, you know, we were attacking. And the longer the game went on, there was only going to be one team going to score, if any. You know, because, you know, Liverpool were underperforming at the time and you just think, crikey's.
yeah.
And
Yeah, last minute winner, pure chaos. Pure
right? Absolutely. You couldn't script it, could you?
Oh, no, you could have not, especially not with how it went. Like, that was edge of your seat, sweaty palms, like, holy Christ, what are we watching right now? Yeah, like, that was insane. It was insane moments in football.
I'm sorry to take it away from you guys, but I've got to also mention the Tottenham game at home. You know, it was Semenyo's last game. Wow. Yeah. What? Who wrote the script for this season? Yeah. Give him an Oscar, mate.
Yeah. It was. It definitely played out a certain way, right? It definitely played out like a movie. I'm surprised it hasn't been made into one yet. It might be in the future. We'll see. Daz, standout games.
There's so many. There's so many. You just look back at the second half of the season with that 18 unbeaten streak, and you think the one thing I'm so proud of is that we did not lose a game to any second game for the second half of the season.
Yep.
And that's just phenomenal. If somebody like Man United, Man City or Arsenal would have achieved that, it would have been front and back of the newspapers and media all over the world.
Yep.
And people just, oh man, we'd play such good games and they'd always say it's because the other team didn't play well. Come on, give us some credit, man. We played most of them teams off the pitch. There were games that we only got draws that we should have won. The Sunderland game.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And even the Bournemouth Man U, 2-2. Again, a game, you know, that if we'd have just nipped maybe half of them draws, it makes you think you know, it's ifs and buts, isn't it? And what is. But just again, so proud of that second half of the season. It's mesmerising where Bournemouth, what we've achieved and where we ended up. There were so many good games. The second win against Newcastle, oh dear, you know, where do you start? And then the last 2 games are finales. The Man City, how did we not win that game 3-1 or 3-0? We were all over. We totally dominated. And
I tell you, that
City
game. City game. I mean, Mike, I'm going to let you speak, but Christ almighty, we keep bringing it up. It keeps just poking away at my feelings and my emotions, bringing me back to watching it. It was just out of this world. Go on, Mike.
Okay, so for me, it was our performance during April and then into May that really sealed the great season that we'd had.
Mm.
I mean, when you look at it, Arsenal.
Yeah.
What a fabulous game that was! Like to beat Arsenal, and like no one expected us to win that game, but we did. I mean, we did. We're the only ones that went into each game thinking we could win, and I think belief during the season. I think these guys started to believe that no one, they could beat anybody, and when you start to believe that, that's it. You get Krupi, who goes out there expecting to get a goal. We were expecting him to get a goal. We're expecting Ryan to get a goal. We were expecting Petrovic to save anything that came his way. You know, the number of games he played where the other side didn't get a goal. He was, you know, he was, and we were getting beaten in some of those games by penalties. I think we were being hardly done by on a number of occasions. Yeah, we had a couple of ones go our way towards the end of the season, but I think that on a few occasions I went away thinking that we weren't given penalties when we should have been. We got penalties against us when they should have been. That one with Evan Nilsson that time where they said his shoulder was in front or something like that, and he was offside. That was classic. But through it all, we still won. I mean, you're looking at Newcastle. I mean, we went through that run in April. It was a really good, Leeds. We probably should have won that game, but we didn't. But then that was even the Leeds guys were saying we should have won that one. And then, of course, for me, the ultimate was that game, the last game of the season at Vitality against Man City, when we were in front. We should have won that game. And yes, we should have scored another 2 goals at least. We didn't. Even Man City supporters acknowledged after the game that we were the better team. And by that stage, we believed that we could beat them before the game. We believed, and they had to win that game to stay in contention for the premiership. And so that's how much it meant to them, but they still couldn't beat us. And we, you know, when everything was going on at that stage with Andoni, we knew what was happening, but they still kept their focus, and it seemed to drive them. And so from a supporter's point of view, even though back home by that stage, just watching it, you know, I was getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the games, which, as you do here, Daz knows what it's about. And, you know, I'd get to bed at 5:30. I remember it was just that this season has been the most phenomenal season for someone who, like myself, who's just only been really following them, you know, as they've been getting, like the last 3 years in particular. And so this season, particularly this last part of the season, when we are getting up and up and up and up, and no one's believing where we're going to come. No one rated us. No one expected us to make it to Europe. And we did. And we did. And we beat everyone that they said was going. You know, look at Chelsea. You know, every time we played somebody, if you're a betting man, well, I am, but I don't bet on football. But if I had been, I would have made a lot of money this year, because just the last 18 games, we didn't get beaten.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the reality is, we've got where we are, and we played as a team. So the way I described that game against Manchester City was that a champion team will always beat a team of champions.
Yeah.
And Man City have a team of champion players, but we had the champion team. Our team played as a combined, very strong, and to the point where I think, you know, everyone knew at the end of the game, well, you know, Bournemouth's arrived. We're here. And that last game against Forest, of course, I didn't expect us to win that one. I thought that we had proven what we wanted to prove. We were there, and we were up there just to finish the season off and not get any injuries, and to give Andoni a good last game. And if we win, well, that's a bonus. And for me, that was the season. The second half of the season was just fabulous to sit and watch. Used to look forward to the games. Every game we had, you're leading up to it, and you got a day before, you sort of can't wait. Whereas there have been times in the past when you're dreading the next game that you're going to have for fear of what's going to happen.
Yep.
We weren't afraid of anyone. As any Cherries supporter in this year, particularly in the second half of the season, we were not afraid of any other team. And that's the difference between us now and, say, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I completely agree. And look, I just want to close off that season. Obviously, we've all given thoughts. We know how the City game happened. For me, that was the full circle point for Andoni. Being able to do that for Mikel, we know that they go back donkey's years to playing football back as teenagers, And I think for the struggle that Arsenal have had recently and everything that happened with City and the result we got at Arsenal, I think this was all leading to be like a final scene in a movie. And I just think, what a way for Andoni to close this part of his life off and close the chapter on this book, is to get a call from Mikel and go, dude, you've done it for me. Like, you've taken the stress out of the last game of the season. We've won the league. Like, I don't know. I just think for Andoni, that must have meant everything, above everything he's ever done, to be able to have that impact with a team like Bournemouth, for teams like Arsenal, City, Liverpool, Newcastle, United, Chelsea, it can't be put into words. I'm so happy for the guy. And I'm so extremely proud of everything that he did at the club. Funnily enough, it leads us perfectly onto my final point before we say our farewells and our goodbyes. And I'd like a little bit of pushback here if you believe there should be. But for me, this is his legacy. And I think he was the greatest manager in Bournemouth history. I think we can look at the likes of names that have been brought up tonight. Harry Redknapp, Eddie Howe. And I think Eddie Howe remains the architect of where the club and where Bournemouth was built in our hearts. But Iraola achieved outrageous things for this club. And I just think, if there was ever these, statues that get erected and like greatest people in history club football, I think it got to be Eddie Howe and Iraola. Like, they've just done incredible things for this club. And where we are at the moment, about to start battling for Europa with an experienced European manager coming into play. Like, we're now going from Bill Foley's 3-year plan and we're about to execute the next 2 years, I think, pretty damn well. And it's going to be a bloody exciting time to come, I think, chaps. I'm so excited for it. I'm so here for it. Listen, I know that we were going to do an introduction on Marco. I feel like that deserves a show on its own. So I think maybe we should revisit this in a week's time and bring the guys a whole introduction to Marco, given the full rundown, previous experience and why he's coming to the club. And that can be something that everyone looks forward to. But just a final question for the panel, you guys, essentially. When Andoni arrived, obviously we were a club trying to survive in the Premier League, right? And 3 years later, he leaves the club preparing for European football. Is there anything else he could have done? Like any other expectations here? Is that the best possible managerial stint in the history of football? Like, give me some thoughts here. Let's overview this 3 years.
I don't want to go too mad on it. But I think you have to look at the club as a whole. Obviously, the trainer, the owner, chairman, whatever, the backroom staff, because as a collective and how the club is actually run, is really, really important. And when you've got harmony behind the scenes, every department helps each other, they work together, and the players have bought into it. And I've got to take my hat to all the players this season because, thank you, admirable, you know, how they've supported Andoni. They knew he was leaving, but they wanted to achieve so much for him. Now, a lot of players could have down tools, and you've seen it in other clubs this season. I'm not going to mention names, where players are actually down tools, they're not interested anymore. But our collective squad have backed the manager right up to the last game, and they thoroughly deserve the opportunity they've now got playing in Europe next season. So, yeah, obviously, without doubt, the follow-on after Eddie Howe, yes, we had the interim with, like we said, Scott Parker and Gary O'Neill. But wow, what a scoop. 3 years of Andoni. You couldn't have predicted it. And every season it just got better and better and better. Unfortunately, it's come to an end. But we wish him well in his future, which we'll obviously hit on next time round. Yeah, I would say from the footballing point of view, certainly the best football we've ever had at Bournemouth. And I go back a long, long way. So what I've seen, yeah, probably the greatest manager ever. But he had some stones already laid in his path, you know, beforehand. And it's just taking that next step. And I think, you know, the future looks quite rosy for us. Excuse the pun. Wasn't intended. Yeah, but
brilliant.
yeah.
Love that. That was actually well timed. Well done, Mal.
It wasn't planned, honestly.
That was awesome.
Yeah, but absolutely thrilled. Very proud of the club. Very proud of everything Andoni's done, and I'll have my eyes open to see how he gets on, as well as I do with most of the players that leave. I still follow them at a distance and keep tabs on how they're doing. Good luck to him. That's all I can say, and a very big thank you.
Nice ending words there for Andoni. Daz.
Again, I just want to thank Andoni for bringing the most risky football that we've ever played, that left us open at the back, that led to the most punishing results against oppositions, and the most dominant, chaotic football that I've ever had the privilege to watch. And for those 3 years, we've just got better and better and better and better. And like Malcolm says there, Andoni couldn't have done it without the club, and the club couldn't have done it without Andoni. And the club is the lady who makes the tea, the guy who cleans the boots, the man who washes the kit, the fans, the guy who cuts the turf. The big thing I love about being a Cherry fan is it is more than a club. It's a family. And I think that in football is lost. You know, that family culture of being little old Bournemouth on the South Coast, who are now 6th best team in the league. And I just want to thank Andoni for his journey. I want to thank Bill Foley for having the always advance, never retreat motto. And together, anything is possible.
Love
Well
that.
done.
Words, Daz.
Well said.
That. Mike, go ahead.
Well, for me, it comes down to the foundations of anything, whether it's a building or a club or a business. The more solid your foundations, the more successful you're going to be. The foundations were laid when Bill Foley came on. He said, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. The academy has now been opened beginning of this year. So we've got the academy. If you look at all of our teams going right through to the girls, they've all performed well. Across the board, the club is being run really, really well. Our recruitment team got to be congratulated for what they've done during the year. particularly when they lost all those players and then Semenyo went, we didn't turn around and say, oh, what are you doing? You know, they brought new people in, and the people they brought in were perfect for the job. The overall humility of Andoni is what I find the most impressive thing about him. Throughout the season, he was doing things that, to be respectful to the managers before him, none of them had the team in the position that it was in this year, particularly towards the end of the season when the pressure must have been really, really on. But he maintained the belief, and at the same time, you've got to remember, his contract's coming to it. He's got the media coming at him all the time. What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you going? And so his focus was maintained on the team and even when he decided that he was finishing up, that he was going, he didn't say where. Whether he knew or not, I got no idea. That's his business. But the reality was he maintained the focus for the good of the club. And the team gave him the 110% effort that he deserved. And I just got to take my hat off to him and say thanks, because we know what it's like now to have an opportunity to play in Europe. We've done it against the odds, I think. And I mean, standout players for the year, there were so many, but Krupi and Triffett, I think, were the ones for me. But you could go through any number, and this year we had depth in our in our whole team. So the team that were on the sideline, we were able to call on people, and we knew that if someone was going off, someone would come on, and you know, we wouldn't be suddenly left without, like we had, unfortunately this year, you know, we had Clivett and Christie were both injured for a lot of the time. But in past years, we didn't have people to come in and you know, take up their positions and do well. This year they came in, they fitted in, everyone stepped up to the mark. And James Hill, you know, you could go right through the whole team, and you could say, well, you know, it was just a fabulous year to experience, and I won't forget this season. And hopefully next year we'll be saying the same thing. Well, wow, we didn't think we could go this far, but we're going beyond. We're going into new territory, and I'm excited. Yeah. And I think anyone out there that is listening to us tonight, you know, they're going to be. If you're not excited, you're hard to please, because we've done so much this year. We haven't done anything. The team's done it. Andoni was the man, and now it's up to them to take it further. He's done his bit. Now he's gone to do his thing, and now it's up to everybody to continue that. And I think they can. I think he's given them the belief, and he's given them the impetus that they can actually move forward. They know they can do it.
Yep. Absolutely. And I'll be honest, I think that's the beauty of the story is he didn't just improve Bournemouth, Mike. He changed what Bournemouth fans believe Bournemouth can be moving forward. I think that's the biggest thing that you've pointed out there is the ceiling's changed, the belief has changed. Like we are, if we weren't bought in with how much we loved Eddie Howe and then the start of Iraola, like now is they've earned it, right? They've earned our time, they've earned our following, they've earned our belief, and what comes next is going to be marvelous. I can't wait for it. I really can't. Thank you so much to the panel guys here and all of our co-hosts. Mike, thank you so much for joining for this show tonight. Malcolm, as always, an absolute pleasure to have you. If anyone hasn't liked, subscribed, followed, please do go and find us on Facebook and YouTube. I think we're attempting to start our Instagram and TikTok journeys soon, but you're dealing with some guys who aren't that technology advanced at the moment, so we're struggling, but we're trying. Share the channel, please do. Obviously, we want as many people coming to watch this. We've got a ton of content coming up for the World Cup shows. We're going to do a Marco introduction video, and we also did a season overview last week. So if you haven't watched that, please do go and watch that as well. But from us all here at the Global Cherries channel, we wish you a very good weekend. Up the cherries in all departments, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks, guys.
Up the cherries.
Up the cherries.